Come on, guys.
I know you want the shade.
Okay. Collings Ranch Conglomerate, Pennsylvania. Roughly the same age, a little bit younger than the conglomerate we saw back there, but a lot different character. Pebble, cobble, or boulder conglomerate? Oh, that's not a cobble. That's a boulder. High energy, low energy, moderate. Up the yin yang. Right, high as can be. In fact, this is probably so high energy that water cannot move this. It's going to take mud flows. Are we close to the source terrain or distant? Very close. Very close. If you look at the clasts, do you see a lot of variety, or in general pretty much the same? All of it looks pretty similar, this kind of gray limestone. Very similar to what we saw right back there on the other side of the fall. So what would you say the source terrain was made up of? Gray limestone. Yeah, I don't, but you can tell it's limestone because it scratches. A lot of people like to drop acid on it, but you know, when I was a kid, that was against the law. So, but it all scratches. So it's limestone. So we were very close to a highland that was eroding limestone. And it turns out most of this part of the Arbuckles, the bedrock is limestone. So, very different from, would this make for a good reservoir or not so good reservoir?
Have to have it good. Have to have it.
High energy. Yeah. I want bad or good. I'm not so sure. You look at these limestones, they have almost zero porosity. Maybe there's some porosity in the matrix, the reddish stuff, but you've already lost a whole lot of porosity every time you got a cobble or a boulder. You don't have, so in general, coarse conglomerates like this aren't real good reservoirs, unless you fracture them all to bejesus.
Yeah, the stuff that makes a reservoir is 90% of the time in the conglomerate is the fill between the clasts. So it's the material between here that provides reservoir. So if this was laid down in a mud flow environment, chances are there's going to be a lot of clays and crappy rock in between crappy rock, or rock that's even crappier. And this is the stuff almost exactly what I drilled when I was in Kansas. I mean, it was so bad, we were coring the stuff, and some of these different sized rocks were jamming up in my core barrel. I mean, the core barrel would just quit cutting because a piece of rock would come loose from the material around it, and it would just jam the core barrel. It looked just like this. And all the good stuff was stuff that was, the fill. If I had a clean, sandy fill inside here, then it seemed to be better rock. And the theory there was, it was probably laid down like this, and then later on reworked, and in a stream bed, or a very high energy stream bed that carried the silt and clays out of it. Maybe it just left the coarser grain sand.
Wouldn't that create more secondary porosity though? If you're removing all of the clays?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, we had crappy reservoir. It looked like this, and we drilled some that looked just like this, and you drill some, to the naked eye, it looks exactly the same. But if you look closer, the clays are gone. The material between the clasts is a much better reservoir rock. So it looked like, you know, you've almost kind of sieved it churned it up a little bit and got the clays and silts
In those rocks.
in the rocks I drilled. Yeah.
These, I would suspect that the actual porosity is pretty high because the packing isn't really. There's not a good packing here, right? But maybe the permeability.
Yeah, it may be okay. Yeah, I don't know. One would have to go and test. Yeah, the matrix is probably okay, but there's not much matrix. There just isn't much matrix. Now, has anyone heard of the granite wash? The granite wash play in North Texas,
In the Panhandle.
Western Oklahoma. Out in West Texas, North Texas, Western Oklahoma, you have the Amarillo uplift. Very high Pennsylvania granite mountain range. Debris eroded off of it into the adjacent Anadarko Basin. Right up next to the mountain front, it looks just like this. As you get farther and farther away, what do you think happens to the grain size?
Fire.
It gets finer. So you go from a pebble to a cobble to a pebble, conglomerate to a sandstone. At some ideal point out there in the Anadarko Basin, what was kind of shitty reservoir right up next to the mountain front really becomes good reservoir. And every oil company in the world is drilling their brains out there. They have a half a dozen washes, probably a dozen. Des Moines wash, Atoka wash, Marmaton wash, Hogshooter wash. All these washes, when they hit a certain grain size, bingo. You sandwich them between some shales, organic red shales. You got a sandstone, horizontally drill, frack it, bingo. And it's gas. That's the unfortunate thing.
That's very rich.
What's that right there? A vertical.
If you look directly across, you see a whole lot of vertical borings.
Burrow.
Those are either, I will give you, this is multiple choice, right? Giant burrows made by ancient beavers, right? Very closely spaced oil wells drilled on a 10-foot spacing. Or C, drill holes that were used to dynamite the interstate.
Maybe
Okay, no, it was the beavers, ancient beavers. Right.
Very sharp teeth.
Very, yeah, right, and very hungry. So that's what we're looking at there. That's what we got there. This is dynamite. Okay, and while we're here in the shade, there is a particular kind of fold. You can see across the interstate. What's that called? Syncline. Did tectonism, after this conglomerate was deposited, was there continued tectonism? Yes. We know because those rocks are folded. We also know because the Collings Ranch is offset against a major fault right over there. So some tectonism occurred here after the Collings Ranch was deposited in Pennsylvania. Okay.